Previously on Vampire the Masquerade, Big Easy by Night. Redwood's gimp lay dead in the front hallway. Mia used her dark powers to disintegrate the corpse, leaving only ash. Bits of blood and brains splattered across the floor were all that remained. While she dealt with the body, Diane checked out the adjacent dining room. It contained a macabre collection of mutated organs in jars. The television in the dining room turned on, playing a cacophony of screams with video of snuff films, war, and terror. Part of Diane that was still human recoiled in fear, fleeing from the room. Johnny simply shrugged and destroyed the TV. Jars of blood sat on shelves in the dining room, including one marked Max Bowden. Written journal entries suggested the dead gimp was Max's ghoul Kelvin, and that as part of the extortion scheme, Max had given Redwood both his blood and his retainer. Redwood was unsure of what to do with the Kelvin problem. He knew keeping the man locked up was wrong, and dressed him in full BDSM gear as a means of dehumanizing the ghoul. The whole situation really made Johnny hate Max Bowden. Investigating the house further, the coterie found a laundry room with a workbench. On the bench were 4 neatly carved wooden stakes of different sizes and wood types. 4 stakes, 4 members of the coterie. Heading upstairs, Johnny took the first 2 steps before he tripped a trap. A rake swung down with 3 wooden stakes attached to the forks. Johnny tried to stop it from hitting the rest of the group, but ended up impaling himself. Damage was superficial, but he was angry. At the top of the stairs, Johnny tripped the second part of Redwood's trap. In the rafters above the stairs, 3 men opened fire on him with assault rifles, while a 4th dropped a nail bomb on the others. Mia was able to avoid the explosion, but Silas and Diane each had numerous nails embedded in their flesh. The coterie recognized the patch on the hunter's gear, the Knight's Cross. The beast rose in Johnny. He wanted to rip them apart, and the moon was looking pretty good. With bestial howl, his body shifted and contorted, as he turned into a monstrous hybrid of man and bat. He leapt into the rafters, grabbing one of the hunters, gliding back to the first floor with his meal. Mia likewise used her inhuman strength to leap into the rafters, but whereas Johnny used his monstrous form, she relied on her 9mm pistol. Silas gave suppressing fire with his own pistol, while Diane used his powers of mental domination to command one of the hunters to drop his gun. The beast took over, making it clear that Diane was an inhuman monster. Mia's target pulled out a wooden stake, trying to stake her. She moved inhumanly fast, effortlessly dodging the attack. 2 of the hunters lowered themselves to the ground with ropes, choosing to focus on the monstrous bat. While the others fought the hunters, Silas realized they were probably being filmed. Redwood clearly had a thing for blackmail. His suspicions proved correct as he noticed 2 hidden cameras filming them. He pulled out a smartphone, trying to track the network. The cameras were storing their data somewhere. On site? In the cloud? Silas needed to know. Diane compelled one of the hunters on the first floor to shoot his companion. Failing to resist the domination, the hunter took aim, nearly killing his ally. The wounded hunter pulled out a Molotov, lighting it. If he was going down, he was taking these freaks with him. Fearing the flame, Johnny hurled the hunter he was savaging into the wooden hunter, killing him, knocking the Molotov out of his hands. Up in the rafters, Mia took aim with her pistol, dropping her enemy before leaping on him and plunging her fangs into his neck, slaking her thirst with his blood. Johnny leapt once more onto the hunter he had thrown, ripping the man apart. 1 hunter remained, still armed with an assault rifle. He took aim at the bat creature. Johnny unfazed as he stalked the man. Catching the man's eyes, Diane compelled the hunter to unload the weapon and throw it away. The hunter complied, popping the clip and clearing the chamber, before tossing the weapon aside. Regaining his sanity, the hunter drew a pistol, taking aim first at Johnny, then at Diane. He considered his target carefully. The monster that had ripped his friends apart, or the monster that kept fucking with his mind? Choice was obvious. He put the pistol to the side of his head and pulled the trigger. If he was going to die, it would be on his terms, not theirs. Her hunger sated, Mia searched the corpse for any sort of identification. She could find nothing except for the Knight's Cross patch and a thin blue line flag. Below her, Johnny calmed himself, shifting back into his human form. Mia took the jacket from the corpse and gave it to Johnny to cover up. Learning of the cameras from Silas, she turned on her Wi-Fi jammer. She wasn't risking the Second Inquisition finding her. The coterie finally made their way to the second floor, where they were greeted by a handful of closed doors. Trying the first door on the left, they found a teen's bedroom. Their assumption was that it belonged to Redwood's son. The TV in the room showed a paused image of someone tied to a chair with a bag over their head. Unpausing it, they could see, but not hear, Redwood threatening the bound person. They couldn't make any details out of the prisoner, except that it was an African-American male. Time was of the essence. They didn't know where Redwood and the prisoner were. The next room, a guest room, had Redwood's wife and son in it. They screamed and tried to escape, running for the window. Johnny got there first. They begged him not to kill them. Mia tried calming them down, claiming that she was with the FBI, and Redwood had a mental disorder. They were there to help. It wasn't convincing. Allison Sterry was more willing to believe the intruders were the vampires her husband had warned her about. She knew what they had done to her daughter. Diane used his mental powers to change her mind. It was simple, really. All she needed to believe was that her husband was crazy, and vampires weren't real. While Diane dealt with the family, Johnny headed for the remaining door. The master bedroom looked like a normal bedroom, and yet Johnny could clearly hear Redwood torturing someone. Fetching Diane, Johnny waited while Diane looked around, finding a hidden door. The door led to a small office that stunk of sweat and damp. Redwood had a knife at his prisoner, threatening Diane not to come closer or the prisoner would die. Diane's mental control powers had worked well for him so far, so he used them again, compelling Redwood to come closer. With Redwood out of the office, Diane positioned himself between the prisoner and the blackmailer. Johnny restrained Redwood while Mia took over the interrogation. Shadows bent and twisted as the beast rose in her. She would give Redwood 30 seconds to tell her who the prisoner was and why she shouldn't kill their blackmailer. Cowed, Redwood told her the prisoner was Jeremy Boulay, the coterie's contact within the New Orleans Police Department. Realizing it was an ally, Diane went to remove the hood covering Jeremy's head, but Mia stopped him. Jeremy didn't know they were vampires. Making sure Redwood knew she was Queen Bitch, Mia first threatened his family, wondering what they would taste like, before sinking her fangs into his neck. He begged for death, but the coterie wasn't finished with him yet. Diane used his mental powers again, ripping open Redwood's mind to see what plans the blackmailer had for them. Redwood explained he had video of them being monsters, and if anything happened to him, the videos would be uploaded to his website. Silas checked Redwood's computer, seeing that there were videos of Johnny in a bloody hotel room with a couple of dead prostitutes, footage of Johnny and Mia running from the cops in a hotel, a video of Mia shooting Kelvin, and a recording of Silas feeding on Kelvin's corpse. The computer froze and died before Silas had a chance to delete the evidence. He knew he wouldn't be able to fix the computer there, so he unhooked it to take it with him so he could repair it later. Diane asked if anyone else had the footage, and Redwood confirmed there were other copies. The administrator of his website had copies, as did the person who sent the videos to Redwood in the first place, a man named New York. Before the coterie could probe further, they could hear sirens approaching. They needed to escape, quickly. Suspecting they had about 5 minutes before the cops showed up, Mia used her necromantic powers to disintegrate the corpses of the hunters, leaving only ash. Johnny grabbed one of their assault rifles, shooting Redwood in the head and staging the scene to look like he had been killed by his own security force. Silas grabbed Jeremy and left with him, making sure he wasn't there when the cops showed up. Diane worked the memories of Allison Sterry and Paul Sterry Jr., so they believed the Knight's Cross was responsible for the attack on the house. Then they escaped before the police showed up at Redwood's doorstep. Reconvening back at the hotel, they planned their next move. Mia wanted a copy of the video of Max feeding on Michelle Sterry to use as collateral. Johnny took her aside to explain a problem he had. Only blood from other vampires could sate his hunger, and he was getting hungry. Mia understood and offered her own blood. Johnny fed on her, and when he was finished, Mia left to find someone in the hotel to feed on before leaving the hotel to spend the day in the catacombs beneath the cathedral. She needed to report back to Chicago. Silas was able to fix Redwood's computer, decrypting it. He realized there was a dead man switch that would have uploaded all of the videos at midnight. Fortunately, he was able to stop it. It looked like New York was the one who had sent the footage of Max to Redwood. New York also provided the footage of Johnny and Mia in the hotel. It also looked like Redwood and the administrator were careful to delete all trace of correspondence between the two. Silas would need to dig deeper into the computer for answers. Day was approaching, however, and that would be as much as he could learn this night. And that's the end of the session.